Hey kid, guess who's starring in the new Quentin Tarantino movie? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on what time you are watching this. The 10th film by Quentin Tarantino, called The Movie Critic. Is the movie gonna go somewhere where he's actually like reviewing all of his own movies within the movie at the end, kind of thing? All of his previous characters just show up. You got Vincent Vega, you got Mr. Pink, Mr. Blue, Mr. White, Jackie Brown, The Bride, all the bastards from Inglourious Bastards, Django, Rick Dalton, they're all just showing up at the end. And then, in weird way, the movie critic, who's going to be played by this one actor, but at the end, somehow it's something weird happens, and it is Quentin Tarantino's now the movie critic, and all his characters are coming around him, and they take him away. Fade to black. That'd be the way to go out for Tarantino. Anyways, we got some news recently about this movie that I'm thinking it's probably going to start filming probably sometime this year, and I guess we would anticipate this movie coming out next year at some point. The only thing we know is that it's going to be set in the 1970s, Southern California. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, this is pretty much going to be picking up right after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That movie ended in 1969 and continue on 1970s. Tarantino is a huge lover of the 1970s, so I think he really wants to play into the aesthetic again. He did a great job with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. To continue on that 1970s trend, it makes sense. All we know is it's going to be revolving around a cynical film reviewer. And I don't think the movie's really going to be called The Movie Critic. I feel like that's a working title. I think there's going to be a different name when the movie actually comes out. The Movie Critic, doesn't sound like a Tarantino movie. I feel like it's got to be called something different. There's got to be like a clever name to it. And if it's called The Movie Critic, all right, I'll still be there open tonight. But I have a feeling that the name's going to change. I think it's going to be called something else. But as of right now, we don't know much about it. A little bit about the story, the setting, the time. We know who's playing the movie critic, and that is the actor Paul Walter Hauser. I'm not really too familiar with the guy. I saw him in I, Tonya. He was really funny in that. He was good in that. I never saw Richard Jewell, which is the movie that he played Richard Jewell. Besides that, I don't really know the guy from too much. But news came out yesterday about another actor that's going to be joining the cast, and that is Brad Pitt. And this will be the third time that Tarantino and Pitt have worked together as far as a Tarantino-directed film. The first one being Inglourious Bastards, probably still my favorite Tarantino movie.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
And of course, his Oscar-winning performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as Rick Dalton's gopher, Cliff Booth. Believe it or not, that's the third time I just had to say that. Wow. Ooh, okay. It's the morning, it's Friday, give me a break. This movie, I feel like, is going to have to have a stacked cast, though. Like, for real. I joked about all these iconic characters coming back. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was just big name after big name after big name. If this is your swan song for Tarantino, one of the most beloved filmmakers ever, probably, at least modern day filmmakers ever. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in this movie? I'm sure every major actor is calling their agent like, get me in this movie somehow. I don't care how. I want to be in this thing. I want to be a part of this momentous event. I'm sure Tarantino has his list of people that he's probably trying to get in this movie. It'd be cool to see Leo come back as Rick Dalton. That'd actually be kind of fun.
Rick fucking Dalton.
I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and Tarantino was on it, and he was talking about all the stuff that he's been doing with the Rick Dalton character beyond just the movie. Of course, there's the book. If you ever read the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book, it expands a little bit on Rick Dalton there. And I guess he did some like podcast show or something like that, where it goes more into detail about Rick Dalton's character. It'd be honestly really cool if you saw Rick Dalton show up in this movie, because, I mean, it makes sense. It's 1970s Southern California. If it's going to be set in sort of the same universe as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, why not? Have him show up. I don't think Leo's going to say no to Tarantino's final movie, and to be reunited with Brad Pitt would be kind of cool. There's no studio attached at the moment. His last movie was Sony, so I don't know if he'll go Sony again, or if he'll try to go with like another production company. It'd be cool to see like A24 involved in this somehow. I don't know. A24, Quentin Tarantino, that'd be a cool relationship to see on screen together. I mean, I've just been such a big fan of A24 in general. It seems like they really care about the quality of their movies. And A24, this would be their biggest hit if they were to get somehow involved in this. They care about the theatrical experience. He does. It seems like a marriage that would work out. I do wonder if this is going to be the start of the snowball effect, where we're going to see more names start to get attached to this movie. And it just makes you wonder, like, who's going to be in it? Are we going to see some familiar faces that have been in Tarantino movies before? I know he likes to cast Michael Madsen a lot. It'd be cool if like Steve Buscemi came back, and because we haven't seen him in a Tarantino movie in a while. I do wonder if this is the start of getting these like big names attached now that Brad Pitt, because until now we've only had one name attached to this movie. I'm excited about this. Brad Pitt's been phenomenal in the 2 Tarantino movies that he starred in. I'm sure he's going to be great in this. But anyways, this has been my take on the news of Brad Pitt joining the cast of Tarantino's final film, The Movie Critic. It doesn't matter who's going to be in this movie because I'll be there opening night with my big old popcorn and my tasty beverage, enjoying the final voyage of Tarantino on screen. And again, Leo, if you want to be in this movie and play Rick Dalton, I would not mind seeing more scenes like this.
What was that? Embarrass yourself like that. Oh, you were drinking all night. Fucking drinking again. 8 goddamn fucking whiskey sours. Fucking bullshit.